Recording in progress.
Hey, Ethan.
Hi,
How are you, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for
Great,
today.
great. Just two quick notes. I'm going to create a Telegram group, okay, for all of us to ask questions, share Twitter threads, tweet posts, whatever, okay. And so I'll ask for that on our Discord server. And also, have you got my email with the resource hub, a link to a Notion document? Is that everything okay with all the lessons and the resource hub?
I was looking for that email. I don't know if I got that actually.
Okay, okay, okay. So let me know if you got it, because if not, I'll resend it to you. I sent it yesterday from Vinci's email. So hi@vinci.so.
You've been working hard on that, Bernie. I see you sent around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. in the morning, your time.
Yes, my man. Yes. Founder's life. Yeah, Sonia can say the same, I believe so. So yes.
No, not 4 in the morning. Never.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I don't have
Yes.
the strength
This
to
time.
do that any longer.
Yes, I guess I'm or crazier or stupid, more stupid. So that's it, you know.
You're a night owl.
Yeah.
You work better at night.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so let me share the presentation here. Let me know when you see it. Okay, slideshow. Let me see. So can you see me presenting?
Yes.
Okay, great. So our second lesson is about going from consumer to creator, okay? And first, I just want to jump once again to make a quick recap on our last class, okay? So on our first lesson, we saw how content allows us to build digital leverage, okay? So we can replicate content the same way we do with code. So after we create one content piece, we can replicate it, repurpose it over different formats, different platforms. And that way we can like get more exposure just from having to work once, okay? And this is something awesome because until a couple of years ago, the only way we knew on how to leverage things or how to build leverage was through labor and capital, which both are not as scalable as code and media, okay? And some of these things that building digital leverage allows us is to scale our personality. So our personality and our expertise is a very good thing to scale because people can always copy the business that we are building or the product that we are trying to build, but people cannot copy us, okay? So there is only one you, and so being able to scale your personality and your expertise will allow you to build products or services out of it, okay? Products and services like selling courses, selling books, videos, seminars, and other stuff like that, okay? If you want to see some examples, we have huge examples like Tony Robbins, who nowadays makes millions of dollars by selling his books and seminars. We have people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who nowadays has built a huge, like he makes something like $300 million a year out of his media company just by having leveraged himself by creating content on multiple social media platforms. Okay, so this is just a quick recap on our first lesson. We saw then some examples of people like David Perel, who we know nowadays. We know his business model that he has shared, where he has a ton of content that he creates that allows him to leverage into his own online courses, which are his main business, and his angel investment thesis, which is like his long-term thesis on building wealth. Okay, and he uses Twitter to drive email subscribers to his book, to his podcast, YouTube channel, and all of that. All these streams work accordingly and seamlessly to build this funnel of people that he can reach and keep reaching just by creating always the same content and repurposing it or repackaging the same content once and over again over different platforms and formats. Okay, so here is his course. We also saw two other examples, Nicholas Cole and Dickie Bush, who both quit their own full-time jobs to launch Ship 30 for 30, which is once again a writing course, a course on how to write better. And nowadays they have already teach more than 4,000 students over the last 2 years. And they are now perhaps making millions of dollars also. So this is once again a brilliant example on how building digital leverage through content can help us to quit our jobs, start a new venture, build a new business, or just scale our personality and our expertise. Okay. So any questions until now? I think this isn't new. We have gone through all of that last Monday, but even so, any question? Okay, so let's move on. So today on lesson 2, I really want to start digging deep into going from consumer to creator. Okay, so now we know already what it means to create content. We know already the power of creating content consistently, what it allows us to do, what it allows us to build. And so we know already that being a creator can be a very, very, very good business model, or at least a good lifestyle, or at least at the minimum, a very good weapon for us to use to reach more people, to sell our products, and or to be positioned as a thought leader, to launch our product, launch our company, to hire people. All of that, being a creator and having an audience and building an audience helps us, okay? But the question is how to go from consumer to creator, okay? And so today I want to talk with you about consumers versus creators for you to have an idea of what, like, how big it is in terms of a disparity, the amount of people consuming content and the few people only creating content. Okay. On a second bullet point, I want to talk with you about why to become a creator. And this isn't something very new, but at least let's just see some examples also. And then to start to light up on the path to become a creator, okay? Then we will do some breakout rooms. In these breakout rooms, I will break you into smaller groups, like 2 to 3 people, give you 5 to 10 minutes to meet each one of you and to talk about some bullet points, okay? And then we will wrap up the class with a homework, which will be about defining your core topics and your bootcamp goals. Okay, so this is already a first step for you to start grinding over the next couple of weeks and to achieve the audience and to build that consistency on becoming a creator that you are all looking for, okay? So regarding being consumers versus creators, okay, let me just minimize the window, sorry here. Okay, so the differences between consumers and creators, they are very clear, okay? While most people, and even us, we all consume other people's content, whatever it is, through video, on TikTok, Instagram, books that we read, things on news, whatever, but we are constantly consuming other people's content. Still, the problem is that there is a huge gap between people who need and want to keep consuming content on a daily basis and people willing to put in the work to become creators and to actually create this content. Okay, over the last couple of decades and centuries, we saw a couple of institutions initially who were the content creators. Okay, these institutions like newspapers, radio stations, TV stations, they were the ones who were behind the content creation. But nowadays, with the internet and mostly with Web 2, we saw an increase in blog posts, personal blogs, personal websites. And with the rise of social media over the last decade, we saw a bunch of people starting to create content, initially as a hobby, and nowadays as a tool that they use to distribute their ideas, to distribute their thoughts, to distribute their expertise, and to share what they think, learn, and want to share with the world, okay? And so just for you to have an idea on this gap that I'm talking about, and I brought you here 2 examples about the podcast industry and the YouTube industry. These 2 verticals are very easy to understand how huge this gap is, because we are talking about like, it's easy to know how many podcasts or YouTube channels there are and the amount of people listening to them, okay? So in 2021, there were 850,000 active podcasts with over 48 million total episodes, okay? While at the same time, there were 383 million people listening to these podcasts. Okay, so we are talking about an average of 450 listeners per podcast. And while this may not seem huge, imagine having, every time that you want to speak, having 450 people willing to hear what you have to say. Okay, so this is huge to build brands. This is huge to scale what you are trying to say to the world and to share your ideas, your business, and whatever, to grow as a human, okay? So once again, 850K to 380 million people, okay? When we look at YouTube, this gap is even bigger. So on YouTube, we have 13 million YouTube channels, while we also know that most of these YouTube channels, they are not from creators. Like, every account on YouTube has a YouTube channel with it. So, but there are 130 million YouTube channels as of March 26th. And at the same time, YouTube has more than 2 billion users and 1+ billion active users, okay, daily active users. So once again, this gap is huge, okay? So yes, while it may seem that every year I hear about that it is too late to start a Twitter account or to start a YouTube channel. And every year I see people who start a Twitter account and a YouTube channel, and they grow usually just because they become consistent on the work they put out. They try to increase the quality of the content they create, and they keep grinding every single day by creating that consistency, okay? So, but the question that we...
Bernie, I have a question about the numbers.
Ethan,
so
yes.
Isn't it like, I know you're like averaging it out by saying like 450 listeners per episode, but wouldn't it actually look more like maybe a bell curve, or, you know, like a hockey puck of like the number of like people like PewDiePie that actually get most of the like views versus like a lot of the amateur people who get like very little?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. You are touching there in a very, very, very important topic. So the topic is that according to some, only the 1% of the creator economy, so from YouTube to podcasts to Twitter to whatever, only the 1% are the ones that actually reap all the benefits, and all the others are just average in terms of growth, salary, compensation, payout, and reach. Okay, but I can go deep into that, and Ethan, perhaps we can go deep into that on Discord, where I can share to you some analytics and some numbers that actually prove that argument very wrong. Because while most of those, yes, that's true, there is a clear 1% of people who take home a ton of money and a ton of watch time or podcast listeners and all of that. There is enough room for all the others to make enough money, and much more money that they would do in a regular job. Even more, because the big question that we have to do is how many people are willing to invest and put as much work as, for example, PewDiePie, who over the last decade has made one video a day, okay? Or people like Mr. Beast, that every single dollar that he made from YouTube, he reinvested in the channel by hiring people, doing even crazier stuff and all of that. And every single person who treats building an audience as a business are more than able, or have been until now, have been more than able to make a sustainable living, a very good payout, a very good audience, and like having 250K to 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. There are tons of channels like those, okay? And at least for me, that would be more than enough, because in the end, I don't know if I want to be a full-time content creator. I know I want to build my personal brand to have a higher reach, a bigger reach, but not necessarily to be the next PewDiePie or Mr. Beast, or to just live from content creation, you know? But yeah, let me share, I'll share with you on Discord, and all of you can have a deeper perspective on how is the creator economy structured, how is in terms of the 1%, the top 1%, and also all the rest, and what is the current distribution of, for example, YouTube channels and podcast listenings and all of that. Okay, just for you to have a clear perspective and better numbers, because that's not the focus here. And so that's why I didn't brought them. Is that okay, Ethan? Great, thank you. So, so the question here is how to become a creator. Okay, so how to go from I want to create content. Okay, I think that most people doesn't even start there. Okay, so I truly believe that most people doesn't start on I want to create content. I think that is like most people wants to launch a product or have a bigger reach or have an audience, and that's when they realize that they have to create content in order for them to have that audience. So creating content is like something that we have to do to achieve a final goal. And the goal is to build an audience, to be able to launch our product successfully, to have better leads, to invest our money, whatever, okay? But that's it. So the journey into becoming a creator. So currently the creator economy, once again, and that's why I still believe, and I truly believe that this is the moment for you to start to create content, because there is huge opportunity for everybody. So currently in the US, we have at least 50 million independent content creators, curators, and community builders, okay? So these are the current numbers that we know nowadays. And we also know that this current generation is currently valued at 20 billion, okay, of dollars, naturally, with estimations that it could grow to 100 billion into 2022, so this year. And now with Web3 bringing more complexity, new business models, new ways of monetizing your content and your audience, we think that perhaps the 100 billion market in 2022, perhaps it won't be that volume, perhaps it can be even higher, like the gaming industry that everybody thought it would be one size, like 50 billion a couple of years ago, and nowadays is like one of the biggest industries out there, have born over the last decade. Okay, so currently the creator economy is growing, and so becoming a creator is like an opportunity for everybody who is actually willing to put in the work. And here, Ethan, I brought some numbers just for you to have an idea. Okay, so the average salary for content creators in the US they range from 45,000 to 140. Okay, with a median salary of 85,000. And yes, I know that I'm not from the US, but I've been studying on what is the average salary in the US, and at the same time, what does these numbers mean, given that most of the time these content creators, they are not full-time committed. So most of the time we are talking about they are able to make this money, but as part-time jobs, side hustles. So this is a huge increase in your average payout or your average salary, let's say, okay? So the why to become a creator, this is once again, just one more argument on why you may want to become a creator. Perhaps because you want to have a side hustle making you money, a second revenue stream, or a third or a fourth, or perhaps because you love to teach and you want to become a teacher on a certain field that you are an expert, whatever, okay?
Bernie,
So,
a follow-up question
yeah,
on that slide.
yeah.
So is that for like social media marketers, like a job that you could get like part-time, or is this for like people that are literally just creating content on their own channels and trying to
creating
do
content
through like,
yeah,
okay,
creating content, okay? Social media marketeers are under the marketing kind of hat or umbrella, okay? When we talk about creators, we are talking about people who are actually actively creating content and sharing content through their accounts, okay? Yeah, Sonia, I saw that you raised your hand.
Yeah, my virtual
ahead.
hand, my emoji hand. And so,
Yes.
yeah, I have a question regarding the split of that revenue, because I'm for obvious reasons, because I'm building in that space. I'm interested into knowing if you know, but maybe that's a talk for another time. But it could be in the Discord, the split in that revenue, because everyone kind of thinks that this revenue comes from the content itself. Like this is the content you sell. These are the subscriptions to your newsletters and the books you sell. My feeling is that, or the numbers I have to be more specific, is that this is not revenue from content only, and that a lot of people make money from service providing, and that something is a bit blurry in this situation, that some people have, for example, marketing agencies, and the income comes to their business, and they decided to have a personal content strategy to develop their business, but it's a business on its own. It's just that they adopted the personal creator content strategy as a marketing tactic, or
Yes.
So I think I'm not sure how we should split this content. It's not always personal. First, it's not always personal revenue, and it's not always content revenue. Is that so?
Yes. Okay. I'm not 100% sure on how they do these kind of splits of average or median salaries. What I know is that, yes, you are 100% sure or right that no, it is not content just by selling content. So it's not money just by selling content, because as we know nowadays, the only platform that actually pays creators is YouTube. So Instagram and TikTok both are trying to do the same thing, but they are not there yet. YouTube is the only business model that has proven to be sustainable and is battle tested over the last couple of years. So, but even with Google AdSense, which is how creators on the YouTube platform get paid, that's not, I wouldn't say that, for example, someone with 100K subscribers, which is already a good channel, but not a huge channel, they are not making that amount of money. Okay, I don't believe so. For example, I know because, like, for example, Ali Abdaal or Mr. Beast both have shared how much they do on their videos. And for example, Ali Abdaal has made, like, I think 200,000 like last year, if I'm not mistaken here. But we are talking about someone who was able to drive millions of visualizations. Okay, and even Mr. Beast, who is like the GOAT when it comes to YouTube, he's making like $4 million a month, but okay, he has like 150 million views. So we are talking about outliers. So yes, I believe that you are right, that this is not necessarily the salary that they made just by selling content, but I think it is by using content as the way to create leads or generate leads into other revenue streams. Okay. Marketing affiliates, for example, works very well, whatever. By the way, would you be interested in me bringing you topics on how creators make money online?
Well, if you have the data, because the data is always a bit, hard to find, to be honest. And I have a feeling that I don't know if you guys have the same feeling, but creators is either a job or a personal strategy. And sometimes you have different types of revenue. And I'm not sure we can compare Mr. Beast to what we are going to do for our own businesses.
Exactly.
Some of us are
Exactly.
going to use this tactic as a content strategy. So
Yeah.
I don't know how to analyze this, to be honest. But maybe that's not the topic for today. So thank you.
Yes, I can give you a couple of examples, like Daniel Vassallo. Daniel Vassallo, he used to work at Amazon AWS. Okay. He left his job after growing a Twitter account to 30 or 40K followers, something like that. And nowadays, I know that he takes home something like 350K. From those 350K, I know that 120 to 150 are through services on Amazon AWS, but the other 150 to 200,000 are by selling like courses, boot camps. Like he has a course called Small Bets. So he has a course running every single month. He has some digital products that he sells. And so we are talking about a professional that keeps working as a part-time freelancer, whatever, and at the same time creates content to scale his brand and to bring more money home. So yes, that's one of a great example that I've just remembered. But let me know, class, let me know, all of you, if you want me to bring here some examples on how to make money online or business models that creators use, because that's a topic that I wasn't thinking about bringing, because we have been here focusing more on audience building per se, more than just the business side of things. But I can bring you a ton of things on business development for creators. So let me know in the chat or Discord if you want me to bring topics on those. Okay, yes, so move on here. Why to become a creator? Yes, so creators are becoming brands and launching products worth millions of dollars. Yes, and this is something that we all know and have seen before. We don't have to go to Mr. Beasts of the world. Those are clear outliers, but we see this happening all day, both on Instagram, on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, even. So even the other day, I was listening to Jake Welch. So Jake Welch was just a random person creating content on LinkedIn. He was able to build a good audience on LinkedIn. Suddenly, he started to build to offer his own course on how to create content on LinkedIn, and then he jumped to Twitter, and nowadays he has a huge audience on Twitter also, and he's making almost $1 million a year just by creating content, and he works all by himself. And he does anything else besides creating content and having one or two side businesses. But just from his creator journey, he took already $1 million last year. So once again, a great example of someone who has been able to build an audience and leverage that audience to build a business on top of it. Okay, so then the question here is how to become a creator. Okay, so let's now face that. And this is when we start to dig deep into tactical stuff, okay? And when I call it tactical stuff is because it is much more hands-on, more than just me saying things or we theorizing about abstract topics. This is really where how to do stuff, yes, okay? So the first step is to choose a format and a platform. And here we know already that we are currently focusing on one particular format, or perhaps we can discuss some formats, what work better and not that good on Twitter in terms of growth, but we have chosen already the platform. And the platform here is Twitter. So Twitter, we know that it allows for written content and audio content. Okay, when it comes to audio, I'm talking about voice. It's like the Clubhouse. So it's the Twitter Spaces. Twitter Spaces are like Clubhouse on Twitter. So you can set up a room, you can have a talk, you can invite people, you can record those sessions, you can answer questions from the audience, and it's very good in terms of building engagement and building good relationships with people, but it's not the best way for you to grow in terms of growing an audience, okay? And why? Because once again, if you jump into a Twitter space, you will have to sell your time to be there, okay? While at the same time, if you just write a Twitter thread, the Twitter thread, it can go viral while you sleep. And so while you sleep, you wake up and you suddenly have 3,000 followers on one night, okay? Something that with Twitter Spaces, it's almost impossible because you have to be there, and then not everybody will love what you say, whatever. So you don't even know if that audience fits with what you are currently doing, because you can be an invite or a guest into other people's Twitter spaces. So all of that, okay? So in this case, I am focusing on written content on Twitter, okay? Because that's what I know that works the best. Then the second step is to show up consistently, okay? And showing up consistently, what does that mean? And yes, for those working full-time, this is perhaps the hardest step. Showing up consistently, it doesn't mean to every single day to jump on a platform and to write 10 tweets and engage with 100 people, okay? That's not what consistency is about. Consistency is about putting in the reps day after day. So show up on the platform every single day, yes, but some days you will be able to engage with more people, others you will be able to tweet more, but mostly what it means is that, as you know already, Twitter is like this small town square where a bunch of founders and tech founders, investors, geek people, curious people, we all hang out. And so the goal of Twitter is for us to be involved in other people's conversations and other people's tweets. So just by doing that every single day, what will happen is that over 2 to 3 weeks, people will start to recognize us among the audience. Like, okay, here is Ethan once again making this type of comment, or here is Farouk once again retweeting my tweet. I should jump into his profile, or I'll DM him because he has been helping me or giving me some engagement, whatever, okay? So you will start to build relationships, okay? These relationships, they will start on the comments most of the time. They will jump into quote tweets or into DMs, okay? Most of the times, this is what happens when you show up on Twitter consistently. People will start to recognize the person that you are, the content that you create, the niche that you stand for, okay? And so the third bullet point, or the third step, is for you to start creating content and engage often, okay? And why? Because it will lead us to the fourth step. The fourth step is quantity leads to quality. And why do I brought this one here? Because most people suffers from what we call the imposter syndrome, okay? And imposter syndrome is like, damn, I don't know who am I to write about this? Who am I to talk about this topic? Whatever, okay? We all have been there. We all have experienced that already. But the thing is that when we face imposter syndrome, we have two ways to face imposter syndrome. On one side, we just refuse and start being more perfectionists and always postpone what we want to publish, always trying to find a better editing, a better writing, a better hook, a better something. And we find excuses to postpone our work and to not hit publish. Or instead, which is my approach, is like you have to time block the amount of time that you dedicate to write a thread, for example, and then just hit publish. The next one will be better, and the next one will be better, and the next one will be better. And over time, the moment you look back after 100 threads, you will see how much you have improved. On the opposite, if you become a perfectionist and stay completely stalled when faced by imposter syndrome, what will happen is that you will be always postponing another thread, you won't hit publish. And what will happen is that over time, you won't publish as much threads, so you won't have the same traction, the same engagement, and the same amount of content to battle test your strategy, okay? And that's where quantity leads to quality. I'm not saying that you should shit post, okay? If your content strategy is about becoming a shit poster like Elon Musk, feel free to do it, okay? But if what you want is to create valuable content, then you should shoot for create consistently and improve over time, okay? But once again, we will deep dive. We will deep dive on next week on what does it mean to create value, how to create value. We will analyze good threads, bad threads, medium threads, and all of that, okay? The last step and the last two steps are for you to define core topics and goals, okay? And this is directly correlated to the homework today for you to define goals. But what do I mean by that? So if we know already that we have to show up consistently, we know that people will start to recognize us for something. That something is the type of content that we create consistently, okay? And with some amount, so some quantity. And that's something, it should be under 1 to 2, 3 main topics that you should focus, okay? So I see a lot of time, a lot of people doing this particular mistake of writing about everything that jumps into their heads. And so the first thing that I will try to do with you is an exercise on how to find core topics that you can write about that have either that give you some credibility factor, that you can talk from someone who got already some experience about that, or something that you can share to a past self, okay, to your past self. These are most of the times the best ways for you to find your niche and the topics that you are more comfortable with, okay? And then goals. Why do I talk about goals? Because having a system without a goal, it means nothing. And yes, truth be told, that having followers is just a vanity metric. Having likes is just a vanity metric. Okay, so it doesn't mean anything. And if Twitter closes tomorrow, my life won't be better or worse just because I lose my account. Okay, and you all should have this mindset. The thing is that having goals helps you to focus on the small actions that you have to take in order to achieve those goals. So if your first goal is just to reach 100 followers or 1,000 followers, these different goals, they demand different actions, and those actions will demand different energy amounts from you, okay, and different commitments. If you want to reach 1,000 followers in 1 year, that's one thing. If you want to reach 1,000 followers in a couple of weeks, that's an entirely different thing, both on the amount of people that you have to reach, engage with, the amount of content that you have to create, and all of that, okay? So having goals will help us to find our way into what we are looking for in terms of becoming a creator and building our own audience, okay? And the last step is to build this improvement cycle. So all these 5 steps, they lead us to the sixth step. And the sixth step is in terms of building the improvement cycle, which for those with a product development background, it will seem very normal. For those who have not come from a product background or don't have a product background, we are talking about that every time that you publish something, you will get feedback, okay? Feedback that is not necessarily in the comments. This is the type of feedback that you will have to take from your audience's actions, okay? And I'll bring you here another topic on how to analyze if a thread was good enough or not, how you can work a thread to make it better, all of that. We will start break those threads down and all these things. But getting feedback is, for example, I used to say that having a like is just someone that goes into my product and subscribes to my platform in the free tier. Okay, so is someone who is not willing to put the money in their mouths. The second step is someone commenting under my thread, and commenting is the same thing as testing the first tier, but under the trial period. Okay, so I am willing to make a comment. Perhaps I will never come back, or perhaps this is just the first comment from a series of comments. One of the most powerful things that can happen when you launch some piece of content is to have retweets, okay? And that's why most of the call to actions that you will see are for retweets. Retweets, or mostly quote tweets. Quote tweets are these powerful things which mean like word of mouth. Is people willing to put their accounts side by side with certain piece of content that they find good enough for them to share with their audiences, okay? And it doesn't matter if that person only has 10 followers or 500,000 followers, okay? What it matters is that someone is willing to put their name alongside with your content piece, and that's the strongest way for you to have someone endorsing you for your content, okay? And so anytime you create a piece of content, anytime you create content and publish, you will start getting this feedback. You will have to start analyzing this feedback and learn from it. After learning and taking some outcome or some conclusions from what you saw and what you have analyzed, you will have to start iterating for you to improve for the next content piece that you are going to publish, okay? And this is where the magic happens, is just by creating this consistent loop of this improvement cycle, you'll be able to improve over time. And as we know already, you want to build an audience, so you will have to be consistent over time for people to remember you, and you will have to create content in a certain amount of quantity for you to be able to have more cycles of feedback, okay? So what will happen is that over 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, you will improve over time continuously, okay? So now let's jump into the breakout rooms. I have to organize here, so I will ask you all just a couple of minutes, for a couple of seconds more, just for me to create here the breakout rooms. But until now, any question that you have, something like that? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question is about the point you mentioned about the imposter syndrome, right? So let's say you're writing about something, and you don't think you are credible enough to be actually writing about that, right? Let's say let's say you are not probably the best guy to be writing about the topic that you're writing about. Am I making sense? Like, there are much better qualified people in the industry, but they are probably not talking about it, and it just feels weird that the much more experienced guys, they don't do it, but you come in with some super valuable, not valuable, maybe valuable is subjective, but something that that you want
Yes.
people to read.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it's very often, it's very normal for someone just starting to have doubts on what they are doing. And for that, let me just share with you a particular example, okay? In this case, yes, it is an example of my own journey, but I think it will help you in this case. Give me just 2 seconds. And here we are. Let me know if you can see my Twitter.
Yes.
Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
So as you can see here, my background lies between business and tech. Over the last couple of years, I've worked 1 year at PwC as a financial auditor, and then almost 4 years at Deloitte as a digital strategy consultant, okay? So I have been helping businesses to go through their digital transformations, okay? I am not the guy in the world who knows the most about blockchain. I am not, I can assure you. But the thing is, when you look at those who know so much more than you have two ways to recognize their power. You can first identify that they know much better than you, and so you won't try to fit their shoes. And second, you know that by knowing much less than them, you know already something more than someone who knows even less than you. Okay? And so when I start to write about what the fuck is Web3, and for example, this thread here, it reached 1 million plus people, okay? So when I started to write about Web3 and blockchain and all of that, I knew, and I've suffered enough, a ton about imposter syndrome. But I also knew that I wasn't here trying to explain what is Web3 and blockchain for the first time for those who know much more than me. I was writing for those that knew much less than me. Okay, and believe me when I say that there is much more people who knows less than me about Web3 and blockchain right now in the world than the opposite. Okay, so the thing is always for you to find the right people for whom you are writing. Okay, if you want to write for everyone, I can tell you right now that then your thread won't be read by almost no one. Okay, but if you start to define the persona that you are trying to achieve, to reach, not achieve, to reach, then that persona may be someone who is, for example, 1 year behind you, 3 years behind you. Okay, perhaps you can start writing about your college journey to people who are in their high school. And of course, most of us with more than 18 years old who have gone through college, will have different opinions. Perhaps we will know better and more than you about the journey of college or this or that, whatever. But at the same time, you can share your own perspective, your own personality through the way that on how you write about a certain topic, and by sharing that with someone who knows less than you about a certain topic. Okay, these are some of the strategies that next week we will start to dig in. So like, who are these people? How can I bring them value? How can I put myself in their shoes? But yeah, hey, let me know. Did it make any sense what I just shared? So this perspective, have I helped you in any way? Can you give me any example of a topic that you'd love to write about, for example, or to teach about something?
So, I mean, the example I often think about is, let's say, we have Sonia here, who is a founder, or you're also a founder. So when you write about your startup journey, that has the capacity to reach a lot of people. Or let's say we had a digital marketer here. When he writes about digital marketing, that makes sense, and a lot of people think that, okay, this is the guy who knows digital marketing, who knows what he's talking about, and hence we should read it. But when it comes to a 19-year-old who hasn't seen anything, and when you write about let's say about writing, or I'm into content and community, let's say I write about that, so why would anybody give a shit about what this random kid has to say about
yeah. So once again, let me share my screen with you. So first of all, let me give you here an example. So Adi Cheth, this fellow here, he lives in London, and he has 20 years old. Okay. He has 20 years old and almost 200K on Twitter. When I first met him, he was 19, It was the last August. He only had 20K, okay? And he had exactly the same question as you. I remember, like, I had 30 something followers. It was after listening him on a Twitter Spaces that I decided to come to Twitter to grow my own audience. And he had exactly the same question. Like, I am 19, I'm a nobody to talk about so many topics out there. Like, I'm just starting my own life right now, so I have no experience to share. I have no lessons learned. I'm just a regular person, whatever. Okay, so what he decided to do was to curate content. Okay, and by curating content, what I mean is he started, like, for example, let me give you this example of a thread of his, okay? Twitter Rewind 2021. And this is like a mega thread on 52 best pieces of writing you might have missed, okay? And so he have put here 52 pieces of content, 52 Twitter threads from 52 people, okay? Why? Because curating content is a very, very important and strong way for you to build an audience. If you can learn how to curate content for a specific niche or industry, it will be more than enough for you to build an audience. And why? Because anytime someone has a question about that specific niche, they will remember you as the go-to person to find something about that particular niche. Am I making sense?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so, but I'll bring you more examples of these, okay? Like, I can share with you, for example, also Brandon Zhang. Brandon is another 20 years old guy that I've met, okay? So Brandon, he almost only talks about his own experience, okay? Like things like this. I've worked with 15 plus founders starting from 10 to 100K to scale their audience and build their brand. Here are my top learnings, okay? And perhaps, obviously, this is not like a life lesson learn thing, okay, that he's sharing, but he's sharing something very valuable, which is for everybody between 10K to 100K willing to scale their audience. This is what someone who has been battle testing a ton of framework strategies and growth, whatever things, has to say about how to go from this amount to this amount of followers. Okay, so he's sharing his own experience by doing the things that he has been doing. Okay, like exactly the same thing here. Once again, look the power of curation, okay? So this is a thread that I've wrote. It reached almost 500,000 people, okay? I got like 4,000 likes, and this is just a curation thread. So I've audited 150 plus YouTube channels to give you some inspiration. Here are 28 of the very best. And here you will just find 28 YouTube channels that I think are valuable enough for you to take time and to go through them, okay? So this is the power of curation, because I used to write a bunch of content on how to build an audience and content creation and all of that. And the people that I was aiming were people who struggle to find content ideas. And what I told them was, hey, you can find content ideas just by auditing YouTube channels. I've done that work for you. I've audited 150 plus YouTube channels. Here are 28 of the best.
Got it. Next.
Okay. So you have here already a couple of examples on how curation can help you to create content and grow an audience. Okay. So, okay, so friends, sorry, we have been here talking about these topics, these specific topics. And so I wanted to make here a breakout room with you all for you to share. So for you to meet the rest of the class, to share where you come from and why you have joined this bootcamp, and mostly for you to define where you want to be in 3 weeks. Okay, but instead of making this in a breakout room, let's just do it here, because that way we all can hear each one and to know each one better and all of that. Okay, so feel free to start whenever you want to share. So to share where you come from and why you have joined this bootcamp, and to define where you want to be in 3 weeks. Okay.
I can start, but I always start.
Yeah, it's always you.
No, I see everybody is shy. That's okay. I can go.
Okay.
Unless somebody wants to, you know, because I feel like I'm taking the mic the whole time. That's okay. Thanks, Sarah. So I'm a startup founder, have been several times in my life, and was in B2B before. And I'm building something for creators. And so for obvious reasons, I need to be on Twitter, and for my personal career as well. But in this specific moment, I struggle because I feel like, and maybe this is like a false belief, I feel like I need to have sort of an editorial line, something that guides me into writing into one direction, so that I don't go into all over the place. Because I could write on the industry, I could write on the vision, I could write on the building public, I could write for creators to help them, I could write on creator burnout, I could write, you know, like it's endless. I could write for investors, I could write for the fellows in the tech industry, I could write for my target. And I'm not even talking about how I could write, you know, but I have lots of, and then so I have like this Notion pages full of ideas. So I'm not drying out. So that's the good sign, okay, on my side. But I can't pick them up because I feel like I'm being inconsistent, or I can't find the direction. And I'm not sure which is my goal, back to what you said before. My first goal today, of course, my primary goal is to connect with the people who might use my product, because I want to help them. So I want to understand them. So of course, it's much more than investors, and not so much into connecting with investors first. I don't think it makes sense. But even in that, from that perspective, there are so many ways I could do that. And I'm not sure which one to pick or how to do that. And then I feel like in 3 weeks from now, or in 2.5 weeks, if I can grab the scope, then it's easier for me to build the process. The process is not the hard thing on my end. The process is, because I need a direction. I need to understand, you know, what's the broad direction. I don't need something that specific. So that's what I'm expecting. And then from there, of course, I have questions like, I have the feeling that I'm preaching into the void. How long is this going to last? You know,
Welcome to Twitter.
Okay, be consistent, You know, I'm tweeting every day, but nothing is happening. So something might be wrong. And yeah, I got like 10 followers more. But you know, it's I still have this feeling, and I'm not sure what signals I should pay attention to and what type of feedback this sends me back. And I'm not sure how to change things in order to gain more attention or to connect more. So I tried all sorts of things like DMs, retweets, comments, jokes, and all sorts of stuff. But I'm going into way too many directions, because potentially I'm expecting that it pays in the short term. Maybe that's the wrong expectation. But so here I am. That's my goal.
Okay. Okay, and thanks for sharing. Oh, damn, we have to find another thing to say anytime someone stops talking, because
yeah, it's so boring.
Thanks for sharing. It's so cliche. Okay, so who is the next one jumping into the stage here?
Yeah, I can go next. May I? Yeah. All right.
Of course.
So sure. So I've been building a Polkadot India ecosystem into Web3 from last couple of years. The major struggle for us is our community has grown to 11,000 plus people, but it's majorly on WhatsApp and Telegram and Discord. But if you see the Twitter, it's very less for us. I'm not sure where exactly we are going wrong. In fact, Bernie was also a part of our speaker panel, one of the event, right? So that's how I got to know about him, and then that's how I've been following his journey, right? We aren't sure about how do we convert these Discord or people who are very active on Telegram and all. Not sure how do we convert these to our Twitter followers as well. Because our metrics with other parachains, with other technical people, if I talk about, so majorly it bangs on the Twitter followers, what we have. That's we want to be very dominating there. So I'm not sure what metrics or should I measure, or how do we position ourselves. So yeah, that's why I'm here today, to learn from Bernie. Yes. Yeah. We are doing most of it right, but it's just that something is going wrong. That's why it's not working for us. If nothing is working, we are doing wrong. If something is working and one thing is not working, it's something which we need to fix it there. So that's why I need to fill the gap. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, Shri, let me just see if I got it right. So you are trying to, so part of your objective or your goal is to keep growing Polkadot India's account or your personal account? Sorry, just because.
I'm here for my personal account, right?
Okay.
So whatever I have my learnings also, I can implement the same on Polkadot India as well. Like my friend Mahaprasad was telling, right? So behind the scenes, I've been working a lot, but people don't know I'm the face of Polkadot India, right? So how do we be more authoritative there? Right?
Okay.
How do you position myself as I'm the head of Polkadot India? So I'm not sure how do I position that way.
Okay. Yeah, it was just for me to frame, because when we talk about growing a personal account or to build a positioning in terms of being a personal account, it's very different than a professional account, a business account. Okay. And just to give you an example, it was very different. I used some of the same strategies, but to grow my account that then I used to grow Odyssey DAO account. Okay, so for those of you who have no idea, I've been the growth lead at Odyssey DAO. Odyssey DAO is a DAO to bring 1 million people into Web3. And from December to March, I grew their account from 2,000 niche to 10,000+ niche. Okay, so in 3 months, something like that. And I used some of the same strategies that I've used to me. So I've humanized the brand, but at the same time, I know it's much harder to build engagement. Okay, to build your distribution channel and to build engagement is much harder because nobody wants to talk with a logo. Okay, and so yes, that's the awkward part when compared with a personal account, and that's why my question. Okay, next one.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Shri. By the way,
if you like, I can continue, but I don't.
Yeah, Christian, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Christian. I'm based in Luxembourg, beautiful but very, very, very small country. Just in the middle of France, Belgium, Germany. And my expectations or what I hope to learn or what I'm doing, actually, it sounded a bit like Bernie. I also have a corporate career behind me, maybe a bit longer, in sales and business development for media and tech. So I sold solutions all over Europe, mainly for American companies, and I'm now developing businesses for tech companies in Europe who want to cross-border their and market their solution within Europe. I thought I would also become when I decided that I want to do my own thing, I thought I would become a content creator, but I think I'm just better in B2B and sales. Nevertheless, I would love to grow my Twitter account and share European news on economy and business. And it's maybe boring for some here, but for me, this would be essential that I could also gain some thought leadership on some of the issues. So I'm basically very keen on learning. And just one thing on Web3, because Bernie, that's why I followed you. I also followed some courses and professional workshops and so on and so forth. And I would, but that's a dream apart. I would like to set a foot into the Web3 space because I'm very much interested in it, and hopefully in the long run develop businesses for Web3 companies. Although there's a lot of noise going around and it's difficult to sort this out. But here, obviously, to grow my Twitter account, I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, thank you, Christian. And by the way, just about what you have mentioned about Web3, yes. So I am not bringing the Web3 topic to this course once again, but if you want me to bring Web3 things to the course, we can either like schedule a few calls after the course ends, and we can do those on our Discord server, invite more people, and just discuss what is Web3 and audience building, whatever, I have no idea, but we can think about some topics there, okay? I am currently building for Web3. I am completely digging into Web3, okay? And so just feel free to ask any question. And if you want me to bring some content on Web3, feel free to ask also. Okay.
Yeah, just to clarify, I'm here for the Twitter growth.
Yes. That's it.
So,
that's the thing.
No worries. I'm seeing here Polkadot, everything. Everybody's here, but I understand that this is.
yeah. That's it. Okay, great.
Right.
Yeah. So next one.
So I can go first. Oh, I can go. Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm from Portugal, same as Bernie. I'm a community manager in operation. I do social media, so content creation is not strange to me. I know the steps, but Twitter is a whole different beast that I have no idea. And for one of my projects, it's full on Twitter or nothing. So I needed to learn quick and fast about how to grow this project account. I will not call it a professional account. It's not that, because it's a community, but it's not a personal account. So I got a little confused. I know the topics, I know what I want to talk about it, but the position, I'm not sure. And I also want to build my own as a personal brand, and because I got bored of Instagram and all these changes. So that's why I'm here. And I'm glad to learn some stuff from Web2D, since I've dived in, not knowingly, but yeah, I'm there. So I need to learn more.
Okay, great. And thanks for sharing, Sarah, once again. Yeah, so you know the jazz, just keep talking.
Maybe I can go next
Yeah.
and make the 3 Portuguese people on the course like all in once. So my name is Tita. I'm a social media manager, but I mainly do social media managing on Instagram and TikTok. And I become a freelancer on Upwork, and I saw that many persons were asking for Twitter managing persons. And I was like, well, I don't know nothing about this, but if is this high on demand, maybe I should learn more about this. So I have the 2 topics. I want to build my personal brand and learn how to do that for other persons and other businesses, so I can make in the end of the day more money. And like Sarah, I'm quite a bit bored of Instagram and I am getting a little upset about every fucking change, sorry, but because it's it's becoming a lot, and I think they are complicating a lot the platform and make the things very difficult for the not just the creators, but for the persons that have business there. So I want to explore other things so I can not depend on Instagram that much in terms of social media managing.
Okay.
All right, I guess I'll go last. Let's see. I wrote a book during the pandemic, and I had never used Twitter until I decided to start promoting my book, because cryptocurrency and Twitter seem to go hand in hand. So I started at basically nothing a year ago, and now I'm almost at like 200 followers. So it wasn't until I saw Bernie's like Notion post where I was like, all right, I got to start posting every day on Twitter. So I have like it's like a bad process where I just wake up every morning and I'm like, okay, what's going on Twitter today? And I try to like connect my book to like the like recent events, I guess. So it's like I don't like schedule anything. I just kind of like the day of, I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do? So I know there's probably a better process than that. Even like on Monday when I was like, we're in this class, I'm like, oh cool, so I can post about this class today. And I'm like, let me get everyone's Twitter so that we can all like follow each other. Honestly, I just kind of like I'm going day to day, and I feel like there's a better way of like Twitter than what I'm currently doing. I definitely want to use like Twitter as a way to like promote what I'm thinking about with my book, but I also like I feel like it's just about networking and community building, and I'm probably doing it wrong. So hoping I can figure out the right way to do Twitter.
Okay. Okay, so thanks everybody. By the way, Ethan, regarding the post every day, the tweet every day, it's much more important for you to engage with 3 to 5 people every single day than just post every single day. But yes, we will dig deep into that too, because it's easy to say, be consistent, create content every single day, but that's not part of the formula because Twitter is very, very, very prone into engagement. So yes, but one thing at a time. So, friends,
I think we missed one person, no?
Are we?
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm left.
Yes. Mahaba, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. And thank you, Sonia. Yeah, sorry.
No worries. So, I'm Mahaprasad. I'm from India, currently pursuing my bachelor's in data science. I also work at a startup called Comet, which is a Web3 startup. I work as a data analyst intern, and I worked in the same company as their content and community guy before. So I used to handle their Twitter account, growing the Twitter account, writing threads. So I've been there on Twitter since almost 2 years now. But one thing that I struggle with is, not being able to find that community of people that you grow with. For example, that was also one of the main reasons that I'm here, to find that bunch of people who support each other and you grow together. And of course, like yesterday, the day before yesterday, Sonia mentioned about how content is your resume. And since I'm just starting out my career, Twitter opens a lot of doors that usually don't exist for, let's say, somebody who's not on these platforms. And my main goal, which is the North Star that I'm moving towards, is hopefully being able to leverage the connections that I make on and off these platforms to be able to probably get that job or start a business in the future. That's all about me.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. And sorry, because Sri, a couple of minutes ago, he talked about you and suddenly I forgot completely that you were missing. Sorry, Mahaprasad. Okay, so let me just share my screen once again, and now just to go straight to the homework for us to wrap up this session. So I will send you on our resource hub that I hope that everybody got my email. You have got also a link to a Notion document. That Notion document, I'm calling it the resource hub, where you can find already the record session for the first lesson and the slides that I've used, and I will do exactly the same thing for this lesson. And I will put there a Google document for you to use as a template, okay, for you to work on this homework. And this homework is about defining your core topics, okay, or your verticals, your niches, okay. Not that this isn't the most important step, but this is a very important step, okay. It's not the most important step because during your journey, you will switch from one niche to another and you will evolve as a person and as a creator. But at the same time, you have to start somewhere and be consistent regarding the place where you start for some time for you to be able to test different things, okay? And so here, the exercise is for you to define your core topics and define these bootcamp goals as we have been discussing here, but now by writing them down, okay? And so I have here 3 things for you to use to help you in terms of defining your core topics and the bootcamp goals, okay? So the first one is, what do you think or what do you have some credibility for, okay? Have you ever raised a $1 million fundraised round? Have you ever bought a business? Have you ever, I don't know, made a college degree as the first class? I don't know. So what is that you have of your own experience that gives you some credibility factor, okay? For example, on my case, when I jumped into Twitter, it was the fact that I was working at Deloitte. So just by being a senior consultant at Deloitte, I had already 5+ years working as a professional. I had some experience that I could use, and Deloitte was already a very strong name for me to have on my bio as a presentation of myself. Like, I'm a senior consultant at Deloitte. So everybody from Deloitte and places like those, or PwC, whatever, from the consulting world, they were very prone into reaching out to me just to say hi and things like those. Okay, so what do you have as credibility factor? Another thing for you to think to help you to define your core topics is, what can you share to your past self? Okay, so if you were talking to your past self regarding a certain topic, what would be that conversation about? Okay, what can you help someone or yourself in the past that you want to keep teaching? It's not about just life lessons. I'm not just talking about focusing on life lessons, but I'm talking about, like, for example, I know nowadays much more about Web3 than what I knew 2 years ago. So if I write for people who are just like me, but are 2 years later, I can write a ton of content for them, okay? It will be harder for me to create content for people who are, for example, 2 years ahead of me. So if you are in the crypto space since 2015, then perhaps I'm not the kind of person who can create content for you. Okay, so what is something that you can share for your past self? The last thing is, what can you talk about for 30 minutes without any preparation? Okay, in my case is, for example, my past experience as a consultant, for example, my experience in the NFT ecosystem, in some of the Web3 protocols and certain companies or verticals. I can talk for more than 30 minutes about the creator economy because that's the niche that I'm currently working on and building for. So there are a couple of topics that I can talk for 30 minutes without preparation. And this is a challenge for yourself too. What is a topic that you can talk for 30 minutes without preparation? Okay, please list these. And Friday, so Friday we have our first feedback session, and the goal for Friday is for us to start to see what each one of you have written for each one of these questions, because these questions, they will make your bio on Twitter and your initial positioning. Okay, they will help you define how to come to Twitter, write your bio correctly, and start creating content under certain topics. Okay.
Just one question. I couldn't access the Google Docs today because apparently you need a permission.
The Google Doc or the Notion doc?
It was on Notion, the Google Docs, so I couldn't access anything. Just to maybe this is for everyone.
Yeah, give me just 2 seconds. Okay. Yes, the slide. Yes, the slides. Yes, those are the slides that I've used last lesson. I'll grant you all access to it. Sorry and thank you. Sorry and thank you, Christian. Yes. Okay, so friends, any question? So as I was saying, I'll post on our resource hub the homework on a Google document for you to copy and fill it out. Okay, and next Friday, please try to send these documents to me like 3 hours before our class. Okay, at least for me to have time to go through your thoughts, to take some notes and to give you proper feedback, because as I said, this is the first exercise for you to find the initial topics to write content about and to write your bio, which is one of the most important steps for any new profile on Twitter. Okay.
Got it.
Okay, so on my side for today, that's it. Friends, thank you very much for being here once again. And once again, feel free to DM me anytime you want. I am going to create the Telegram group where I'll join all of you. Is there anyone that is not on our Discord yet on the room? I think we have there 9 to 10 people. You are 13 or 14, if I'm not mistaken. So someone may be missing.
I'm not on the room, but I'm joined a bit late.
Okay. Okay, so if someone is not yet on the room, let me know, because I'll add you and I will create the Telegram group for us to make things easier, because I know that not everybody uses Discord in a daily basis. Okay.
Okay, just to be clear, it's the better audience building channel, right?
Yep. Yeah. You must have, you should have at least access to the entire Discord where our community lies, and so you can jump through different channels. But we are currently rebuilding the Discord to start having different private rooms for different bootcamps. Okay. So right now we have this room, and over the next couple of days, we will make some changes, but the goal is for us to have this as our central operations headquarters. Okay. Okay, so friends, have a great day. Sonia, you are raising your hand, or sorry?
I'm not in the room. I can't see it, so
okay,
maybe I'm the one missing. Just, I'm struggling with Discord.
Okay, have you ever used it before?
Yes, but lightly, especially when there were no sophisticated rooms, So brief me.
Okay, let me then share the screen. Perhaps this will help everybody. Where is Discord? Yes. So let me know the moment you see it, okay? So when you jump on our Discord, you will see here a bunch of different rooms, okay? These are like our main places to be, okay? So you will have here important info, and under the important info, announcements that I used to do sometimes, and important links that sometimes we share, okay? On the welcome, you will have here the start here. So how to contribute in terms of the community if you want to, whatever, some of our rules, some of the interests for you to click on one of these links, these emojis, and your your profile will be tagged as someone who is an investor or someone who is a founder or whatever, okay? You have here just a channel guide. So for you to understand, okay, what is each room about and where should I start? Some notes on how to contribute. Okay, so how to contribute is if you want to start contributing to the project itself, the DAO that we are trying to build here, just feel free to reach out and say something about it. And then we have here community. In terms of the community, we have the welcome. This is just a bot channel, okay? So I can track everybody that gets into the community. We have here a GM just for people to say good morning, good night, whatever, standard practice in Web3. Intros where people have been sharing a ton of themselves, about themselves. So intros, whatever self-describes. Drop your handle is for you to come here and just drop your handle. Literally, so just copy your link and post it here for us to be able to track who is who and follow each other if we want to. General is to talk all things about all things that you want to, and this is our room, okay? This here, the Twitter audience building, as you can see here, it's private, and so this is where you all should be already, okay? Now, in terms of the creators, then you'll be able to see here, like people talking about content creation, people talking about Web3 and Web3 content creation. You'll see here people like being geeks and nerds about Twitter growth. And this is like the place where I tend to hang out. Some resources that sometimes I think I can share. And so I share with people some resources and guides, and the channel for you to promote your stuff. For example, today I wrote a thread, so I've published here, and I've launched my second YouTube video, so I've published it here, okay? So this is the Discord server. Feel free to send me a friend request, feel free to DM me here, and all you have to do is to jump here to accept the link that I've sent you a couple of emails ago. If you need it, I can just send you a new one. And then you will be able to join this Discord, this room here, okay? Yeah, and that's it.
So I'm not a part of this channel. I'm not sure. I thought I was.
Okay.
So,
this one, the Twitter audience building tree, because
yes.
I know that you are here on the community already.
Yeah, I was part of community, but unfortunately, I'm not there in the part of.
Okay. Yeah, you are here. Here you are. Yes. Okay. So what happened?
I just sent you a message, Bernie. I'm not in the channel yet, the Twitter audience one. So
great. So Ethan and Shri.
Christian.
Sonia.
Yes. Sonia and Christian, I have your names already. So Shri and Ethan. So 4 people. Great. Okay. And please, if you don't have Telegram yet, feel free to download it. It is a very good app, and I'll create a group for us on Telegram to make things easier and to talk and all of that, okay? Sometimes Discord can become a mess. Okay? So, friends, have a great day, and let me know if you have any questions. Okay? Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.